Hello everybody and welcome to another map tour of the For Honor maps. This is a series where I take you through all the maps of For Honor and basically give you a tour of them. And as usual, I will be going through with a character from the faction of which they're a part of. And so let's walk around High Fort with Ingrid. We're going to be taking a look at the High Fort map. And just as a reminder to everybody, this series is not about talking about historical accuracy, but the practicality of what we see and what each part of the map is used for. Now, let's start with the first part that I think is really, really funny. We have this portion here where it looks like the attackers would come from. This looks like where the attackers would attack from. And yet, how on earth did the attackers get here? There is no entryway, and this whole area is kind of torn down. So I have no idea how the attackers would even get up here, but I guess we're supposed to assume they would get up here. We have a watchtower up here that looks rather broken down and beat up, but that does appear to be what this is. And we also have some catapults over here. They like to use this crossbow style of catapult, which I think is kind of funny. You don't see a lot of catapults like that historically, because they would go for distance, not height, and quite often against fortresses, you need height. But whatever the case, let's keep moving up like we're attackers. We're coming up the path here. You can look out and you can see how beautiful Valkenheim looks. You can see the massive mountain ranges. You can see the gorgeous winter trees. Looks like Father Frost has been through here. Am I right, guys? If you guys haven't watched the old Russo-Finnish movie, Father Frost, really goofy, really silly. Watch it with riff tracks. It is a stitch. All right, moving on up. Got a fence post here to keep people from falling over the edge. Makes you wonder why they don't have that earlier in the walk up. I guess they assume the defenders won't push you back that far. Oh, trust me, they will. Here there is no fence. They don't mind shoving you over the ledge here. Now, what I do think is kind of funny is the way that High Fort is built on this mountainside. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's really cool. Makes for a good defensible position. You can use nature itself as your defense, which I really like. Moving up along this fenced area, and we come up to the first real fighting point in the map. We come up upon what looks to be some kind of watch or meeting tower. I like this central column in the middle with the drapes hanging over it. It looks like this place could have been a meeting point of some kind at some point. Could have been a place of commerce, but now it is essentially a watchtower, which you can tell because from this position you can see for miles and miles. You see another portion of the fortress down there, another tower set up along with walls leading to another. So it looks like that entire area is also defensible. But you can tell that this area was very important at some point. It is very large, rounded, and easy to get around. I would say that it's more than just a watchtower because of its massive size. You could station a lot of soldiers in here. So I'm thinking it may be a garrison point as well. We come down this way and we see the fence post blocking off the edges again, making sure no one falls, except for here. It was probably broken off, judging by the wood here. So whoever falls down there is not coming back up again. Let's go down here. Let's keep walking around this area. Ladder to get up to the fighting point. Interesting, interesting. Probably set up there by the attackers, to be honest, because the defenders wouldn't want you to have multiple access points to this area. Let's go right down the middle here. Now, here we have another catapult set up that no one is manning. I think I mean, I'm not saying that this is a bad place for a catapult, not at all. The thing is, when you play on this map, all the fighting kind of goes on here. This would be a bad place for a catapult where the fighting is at the thickest. You'd want to make sure before setting up a catapult here that you can push the enemy back behind the fortress. So that's the one area that I would change here. But otherwise, there's not a lot to say about this other than the fact that this looks like a straight shot up from where the attackers enter all the way up to the fortress. And if you look at the fortress, it looks really, really nice. I do like the design here. It's kind of funny. I think that they used the same fortress design, that longhouse design, for another map, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But overall, this is a very nice looking walk up. Now over here, this looks like it could have been part of a catapult at some point or some kind of siege tower, but was completely destroyed. What I find funny about it is its age. You can see that it's already being absorbed into the snow and soil and trees. So this was not a recent piece. This was done a long time ago, so you can tell that this fortress has been invaded before, maybe why they know more about how to defend this place. So before we head up to the fortress itself, let's take a walk back down here. Got a burning wagon here, not a lot to say about that. We're going to take a walk to the other fighting zone, and we'll talk about that as well. Got a makeshift bridge set up here, a place where ledging happens quite frequently. And then even more ledging happens over here. Not fun. But let's go up these bridges here that were set up to reach this spot. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The bridges set up here do not make sense as a battlefield concept. And here's what I mean by that. This area up here, without the bridges, offers no strategic advantage. With the bridges, the only thing it allows you to do is potentially flank the enemy and attack them from this side if you are a defender. But honestly, by doing this, you only give the attackers another way to get to you as well, so it doesn't make much sense, which leads me to believe that this place is not a place that was designed to be a battlefield location, but maybe a place of worship. You got this huge made statue, and if you look, it looks really cool the way the wind, you just, up there it is again, the wind is blowing snow and dirt off of it as it comes by. It's slowly eroding the statue, but to be fair, it looks really good for its age. I could imagine that the Vikings may have come up here to either honor this deity, worship this deity, or at the very least, engage in commerce up here. Maybe they did trade, maybe they offered provisions, maybe they had counsel, maybe this was a place of prayer. Whatever the case, this is likely a place of some kind of worship or veneration. You can tell because of all the ruins set up along the side here. You can tell because of the massive statue looking like something that you'd probably worship at. And we also have a carving into the tree, which looks like an angry version of that dude's face. So it could be that this guy is very important to them. Not sure who he is necessarily. He looks like a warlord of some kind, but that's neither here nor there. Other than that, there's not a lot to say about this map. Like I said, the bridges being set up here don't make sense as a battlefield tactic because all this does is create a flanking position. The only reason you would set up bridges here is if it was meant for something more. The problem is if that's the case, these bridges are pretty ratty and run down for what this was meant to be, but that is just my opinion. However, if you come over to the ledge here and look out, you can see just all of how beautiful Valkenheim is. You can see the gorgeous mountain range and the valleys. It is awesome. Now, if you come over here, this is where things kind of get funny. If you look to the side of the fortress here, you can see two trebuchets set up on the edges here, but where are they throwing their crap? Look at this. Look at the way this one throws. At the top corner up there where my spear's pointed, look up there. It is throwing its payload out in that direction. What's out in that direction for it to throw its payload at? I have no earthly idea. I just find that funny. That one's doing the same thing. You'd think that they'd be throwing their payload in this direction, but they are not. I think that is very funny. But let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. We got a little side entrance here with this little side bridge, but not a lot else to that. I think that's funny. Now look at this. You can see the roots of this of the tree here growing out along the side of the rock, which is kind of funny because this large root right here that I'm standing directly in front of doesn't look like it connects to that tree at all. So I wonder what that root's doing there. Maybe just a design mistake? I don't know. Now this is, of course, the favorite spot of many a shaman main. They set themselves up either at this rock or behind this rock right here, and they just hold their stealth, and then they just lay down and then wait for someone to run by and then ledge them. This is a famous hiding spot for many a shaman. If you are a shaman main, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not a shaman main, you still know what I'm talking about because you've suffered at the hands of those sneaky sons of guns. I know Havoc has done it many a times, and oof, it's scary just looking at. Now you see these rocks painted on, these stones painted with ruins and markings. Some of them I do not recognize. Others look like sagas, like that you'd write down your sagas on, which I find kind of interesting. All right, so moving up. We finally looked at all of the attacker area stuff. Let's take a look at the defender area stuff. We're going to take a look at this. This spot right here looks like it was an entryway at one point, like you could walk further in, leading more to the idea that this was a place of commerce at one point. Now over here, this looks like the remains of a watchtower of some kind, but it was completely destroyed. And we have some palisades here meant to block not only troop movements, but siege tower movements, because siege towers are going to have trouble getting past that. And if we get a little bit closer, we can see that they have set up a spike defense system on the front door to keep people from being able to break through. So this fortress is doing the best it can to keep people out. You've also noticed that we've got these spikes or pikes laid up against the side here. Now you might think, what's the point of that? Honestly, The best way that I would describe this is probably they're trying to prevent people from trying to climb or scale the side themselves because they run the risk of falling to those spikes. But honestly, it seems superfluous. With all the defenses you already have, you probably wouldn't need that too much. But let's move up. Once again, we have an area to sneak down this mountainside. You can get this ledging area, and again, once you reach this point, shaman attacks, boom, you're gone. Again, beautiful mountain range. They really went into good detail with showing the sides here. Well, let's head inside. Now this could be a barracks area. I could believe that this is like where the soldiers get ready. Like this is the barracks. You've got a lot of shields and weapons laying around, a lot of supplies laying around. What I find funny is, if this is the barracks hall, it's been destroyed. It has been destroyed by those catapults in the looks of it, so no one's in there now, or if they are, they're dead. We got a crane, a makeshift crane here, so maybe instead of a barracks, maybe this is also a supply depot. You also see the pikes hanging here. Maybe this is where they get those pikes to put along the edges of the walls. But given that this is where the defenders come rushing out of, I would imagine that this may be the barracks, or of some variety of barracks. But that is about it for a high fort. Not a lot else to say or a lot else to show. It's a pretty bare map because it's essentially a fortress on a mountainside that an attacker unit is trying to get to. But otherwise, that's all there is to say about this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tour that I gave of High Fort. Hope you guys saw some really cool stuff here. Next time we'll be taking a look at a samurai map, and we'll decide what that is next time. But until then, I will see you in my next video. Take care.